Have you ever felt drawn to that dreamy, ethereal looking oracle cards that feel otherworldly and so utterly divine? Well, today I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step tutorial on how to achieve that ethereal, dreamy look in your own oracle cards. For the purpose of this video, you are going to be needing access to Photoshop. I'm going to be putting all the resources in the description below, so if you want to follow along with this tutorial with me, you can just open that link in the description and use the imagery that I've pinned, and we can do this together. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Sash, and I have been an oracle card designer since 2021. I have been gifted an oracle card deck by my current partner, and this totally opened up the entire world of oracle cards for me. I studied graphic design in university, and I entered into the corporate world very shortly, even before I graduated. But as soon as the world of oracle cards opened up for me alongside my spiritual journey, because I feel like that's kind of how it happens for most people, I decided to give Fiverr a shot. So I opened up a Fiverr gig, and to my surprise, I got my first client. Fast forward to today, I've been able to complete 3 full oracle card decks on Fiverr as a freelancer. So here we go with this very first video on how to achieve your very own ethereal look and feel through your own oracle cards.
Okay, so I have opened up Photoshop under an oracle card template that I already pre-made, so I'm going to link it all in the description for you to access. Okay, so one thing I like to do when especially I'm starting a design from intuition is what color am I leaning to right now? So at the moment I'm feeling for something very like pastel-y, maybe something lilac, very on the light side. Bearing in mind we're creating something ethereal, and ethereal doesn't necessarily have to mean that it has to have pastels in it. It can explore a range of the darker colors. It can explore a range of, bright orange, for example. It just depends on in which manner you are using it. But if you don't know exactly which color to start with, one thing I do like to do is I like to open up Pinterest and I like to search for the type of color that I want to work with. So because we want to achieve something that has a pastel-y feel for this specific video is something more like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screenshot this as a point of reference for me to use in designing my oracle cards. So bear in mind, I'm not going to copy anything in this specific design. I just want an idea or a kind of point of direction or reference in terms of which colors that I want to use. So next thing you can do is you can simply click I on your keyboard, and it opens up this eyedropper tool, and it will allow you to source any color across this entire image. Okay, so I'm gonna be starting with my base color, something a little more like this, and bear in mind the design process can be flexible. You don't have to stick to something if something doesn't work. Please feel free to change it and explore, especially if you have no idea what your design is going to look like. Now I'm gonna hide this, and I'm gonna click on the square with the plus icon, and I'm gonna drag the rectangle, and if I'm going too fast, you can just type U on your keyboard and it will open up the rectangle tool, and you can just click and drag it across. So now that I have my base color, you can go to unsplash.com and you can search for the type of style that you want to start with. So I'm looking for a more of like a sparkle image to start with. So I'm gonna go ahead and download this. And then I'm gonna open up Photoshop again, click File, place embedded, and then I'm going to place this image over here. So the main thing when it comes to this dreamy ethereal oracle card look and feel is that it's a very explorative style, and it requires a lot of blending and mixing and matching and kind of seeing what image and the coloring inside of it can give you the best effect when you bring it forward. So I'm going to click on this image, and then I'm going to click in the layers tab, and if you don't have your layers tab open, simply look for these diamonds on top of each other. They look like little pages, or you can click window and layers, and then it will open your layers tab. Okay, so if I want to make direct edits to the specific image, you need to make sure that you are on the image, right click, scroll all the way down to rasterize layer. So this is going to enable you to make edits to this image. Okay, and one thing I like to do just for security purposes is I like to click Command and J, so that duplicates the image in case I want to try something new with this image. And let's say I'm going deep into exploring what effects and styles I can get from this image, and it's not going the way that I want it to, luckily I've got a duplicate right here, and that saves you a lot moving forward, trust me. So if you want to be more organized than this, we can create a little folder over here, group, and I'm just gonna say water. And then I'm gonna drag and drop this image into the water tab. Okay, so now that is stored under the water tab. And this one, I'm just gonna say references. Okay, so I'm gonna lock this. Make sure anything is hidden that I don't want to be hidden. Close that, open this again, and let's start exploring what type of effects this image can give us here. Okay, so you're gonna click on the image, and over here where it says normal, it's a drop down. So you can click on that, and you can kind of hover above this and see what kind of effects this gives you and what you feel you can work with. So this is typically my process and what I do if I want to have something very light in the background. So I'm very much liking this effect over here. So what I'm going to do to get rid of the excess space over here is click M on your keyboard, drag it across the entire image, and bear in mind this needs to be selected still, okay? And now I'm just going to click backspace on my keyboard. And now I'm going to click Command and D, so that deselects it. And then I'm going to click V again, because that brings me back to my general cursor. Okay, so I pretty much like that positioning over there. And I kind of want a reflective look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click M on my keyboard, drag it across the image, and click Command X. This deletes any excess imagery that you don't want. Okay, and again, I'm going to click Command and V, and that will paste the image again. And if you want to paste it back into place, you click Shift, Command, and V, and it pastes it right back where you cut it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that effect that I used, and now I'm going to click Option, because that allows me to duplicate it. And while I do this, I'm going to click Shift so that it keeps it in line, and this will allow me to paste it directly next to it. Okay, and now what you want to do is you want to hover over this so that it gives you the two-pointed arrow. While you do that, you hold in Shift so that it kind of flips it around for you, just like that. And now you can paste it back to the end, or you can kind of play around with this and see, you know, what kind of effect it gives if you put it closer. I do like this placement, so I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to select both of them and just extend them like that. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure that it's centered. So to do that, you just click on the folder and click on these three dots over here. Make sure that it's aligned to the canvas, okay? And then you can click this one over here that will center both images like that. Okay, so now we have our first, element in our design. So now I'm thinking for maybe some decorative flowers. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over here, open a new tab and say leaf vector PNG. Okay, so I really like this olive leafy kind of vector. So I'm gonna right click, copy image, and then go back to Photoshop, create a new layer, call it leaf, and paste it. Okay, so now if you want to get rid of these squares and pixels at the back, all you have to do is go to this shortcut tools section over here, click on this magic wand, and make sure that it's on the wand. Okay, now you're going to click in that white space that you want deleted, and you simply backspace. Okay, and there you have it. So I want to place this kind of like this. When it comes to like copying and pasting images into Photoshop, you want to just make sure again that the quality is very good, and that if it's a smart object, you right click and convert it into a rasterized layer. Okay, so I'm going to do the same that I did with the water images. I'm going to click M, drag it across the canvas, click Command X, then I'm going to click V and delete that excess, imagery that we don't want to deal with. So now to paste it in place, I'm clicking Shift Command V again, and it pastes it back into place. And I want to do the same for this side over here. So I'm going to Alt and click and drag, so that duplicates it. And I'm just going to drag the one that I pasted above over onto the side. Okay, So now we kind of have this mirroring look and feel. So if you want to change the coloring of this image that you pasted, one thing you can do is double click on the layer, click on color overlay, and this allows you to change the color. So you can change the image color over here. If you want something similar to this purple, I would suggest you just eyedrop the purple and then, just drag the color around to see what it is you want to work with. I am very much liking this purple. It's very subtle and it goes well with this color scheme. So I'm going to click OK, right? So you do the same for this one. Color overlay, and it automatically defaults the color that you last chose. So you don't have to guess or try to eyedrop it again. Okay, so now that I have this, I kind of want to emphasize something in the middle. So I'm going to explore some arched doorways and see what we can do over there. Or maybe we can add like a pillar structure or something like that. So let's see what we can do. And also you can move this behind the water to see what kind of effect you get as well. So if we click on this magnifying glass over here and click here, you can see that it's behind the water layer now. And I really like that effect, so I'm going to keep it. So again, go back to my cursor, and now I'm opening Unsplashed again, and I'm going to search for arched doorways and see what I can work with. Okay, you can just toggle this over here and click on free so that it only gives you the free ones to work with. Okay, maybe let's try something like this. Oh, this one is good too. Let's try this. Okay, so I'm going to download free. Make sure that it's in the correct folder for me. Open up Photoshop again, and then File, Embed, and select the image that you want to place. Okay. And just click this check mark after it's loaded. So I'm going to create a new folder and say Arch. Make sure that my image is indeed in the folder, then right click rasterize layer. So this allows you to create any type of edits to this image. So now what we do is you can select P on your keyboard. This is a pen tool that allows you to design shapes, custom shapes, and also make selections that you want to edit. Let's say you just want to specifically edit this door. This pen tool allows you to make custom selections and edit only that selected section over there. So, what I want to do with this one is I want to take away the door and I want to take away the stairs. So it sounds complicated, but I promise you it is extremely easy, and I'm going to show you just how to do that right now. Okay, so you can start anywhere. For the purpose of this image, I think I'm going to start over, I want to see where this best aligns. I think I'm going to start over here. So I'm just going to go ahead, click Shift and make my selection, and again click Shift. Shift allows you to make very precise lines, and when it comes to the arch, you simply click and drag, and you'll see that when you click and drag it, it allows you to kind of define it however you want to define it. So if you want to be precise, just make sure that you place it where you want to, and then to bring this back without changing this shape over here, you simply click Alt and bring it back to the center. Okay, or you can place it over there. Okay, so now I'm going to click my next point and again click and drag. So you can release this and it will not alter it. Okay, so if you want to go back to this arch over here, as you can see, didn't exactly place it where I want to place it. So you go back to this, click Alt, hold it in, and simply drag this line again. Okay, and you can do the same with this to position it exactly where you want it to. Okay, so now I'm going to hold Shift and then paste, and I'm going to hold Shift and then click, hold Shift and then click, hold Shift, click, Shift, click, and then I'm just going to join it over there. So now I've selected the entire area that I want to delete. Okay, so now you simply right click, say make selection, and the feather is basically how sharp or how soft whatever you're going to be cutting out or editing, your selection is, how sharp it is or how soft it is. So I like to stay at a 0.8 because it makes it defined but not too crisp. So you can play around with this and see what it does. The higher up you go, the softer the cut will be. So if you want that erased kind of look or that feathery look at the edges, you simply increase the feather. Okay, but I'm going to stay at 0.8 and click OK. So now it's selected that area that we have, marked with the pen tool. And now what you can do is make sure that you're standing on the image you want to edit that, and backspace. So that deleted that entire space that we wanted to have deleted. Okay, so now I'm going to resize this. I've placed it where I want to place it. So and I'm thinking perhaps it should go behind the leaf and behind the water so that it gives me a nice overlapping look and feel. So I'm going to click on the arch again and see what other different types of imagery or effects, what basically happens when I apply that effect to it, and if it's something that I want across my design. So I do like luminosity because it kind of gives it a nice blend with the background image. So and I'm going to duplicate this, put it on normal, and I want to dim the opacity because I still want the whiteness of the image to come through. So that's what I'll do over there. You can just play around with the opacity until you've achieved something that you do like. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm thinking maybe we should play around and see what kind of elements we can add. Let's look for some vector patterns. Vector patterns, PNG, we can add into the design. And if you want to be more descriptive, you definitely can. I'm going to see what this does. So I'm going to copy this image, Command V, paste it, and I just want to see what type of effect this gives me. Okay, I'm going to go with the divide effect, and I just want to make sure that I stretch it out so that it's lined up exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to play around with the opacity as well. There we go. And again, I'm going to hit M, select it, click Command X, hit V, and delete. And again, to paste it in place, I'm simply going to say Shift, Command V. Make sure that it's in a new layer. And I'll just put it behind the arch. And I want to play with the opacity a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep it at 33. So to duplicate it again, just click Alt, click and drag it. And then when it comes to the double arrow, hit it. And then you click Shift at the same time. And then you drag it. Okay. And then you simply put it on the other side. I'm thinking maybe some white roses would do well in this design. So let's go back to Unsplash and see what white rose imagery we can get over here. Okay, where is that rose? I do like this. So let's see what we can achieve with this. Save your image, go back to Photoshop and File, Place Embedded, and select your image and paste and make sure that it's checked. Create a new folder, put it in the folder, name the folder. Okay. This is a smart object currently, so I'm going to rasterize by right-clicking and selecting rasterize layer. And again, I just want to explore what this image does and what effects I kind of want to prioritize in this design. Okay, so that's not giving me what I want, which is great because now I can show you exactly how to cut out these roses as well. And it's basically going to be the same concept as what we did with the arch. Okay, so now I'm going to again hit P on my keyboard, and you can hit Command plus to zoom in, and I'm going to start cutting out. So click and drag, and again, your cutouts do not have to be perfect, okay? And this is one thing that I love about Oracle cards. It's because it's an abstract nature. It's an abstract concept and image that we want to design. So you don't have to go into every curve. You can simply just cut it out however you want to. Okay, so click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, click, drag, click and drag. And you simply repeat that process until you get to the edge and make sure you connect it to your starting point. Now you say make selection, okay, and we're going to cut this out of this image. So now we say Command X and Shift Command V to paste it in place. Now you can see that we've cut out the rose, and the rose is what we want. So I want to remove any kind of darker contrasting from this image. So I'm going to make sure that I'm standing on the image, click Image, Adjustments, and then Curves. And then when it comes to the pigmentation, I'm just gonna drag this down and see what it does. It definitely lightens the image exactly how I want it to. So if you want to specifically highlight those areas, you can just use a pen tool, roughly again. Make your selection, okay, make sure you're standing on the image, and then you can make a specific adjustment to that specific part of your image. And this is where the feather tool comes in handy, because if I chose a different feather, you would see that the line would not be as harsh. So let's try this again. I'm gonna make my selection. I'm gonna adjust my feather to, let's say, 12. Now I'm going back to levels and I'm gonna decrease that dark output and say okay, and then Command D to deselect. And as you can see, it created a much softer fade in there. Okay, so now that my rose is exactly the way I want it to look, I'm gonna say Command J because that duplicates it. Align it side by side by holding in the Shift key and clicking and dragging it again by holding in the Shift key to flip it over. And I'm just going to align it like that for now. Now we're again going to explore what type of elements I can get from this. I do like the lighten effect, as well as the lighter color effect. The luminosity also does something great, but I think I'm going to stick with the lighten effect for this one. And I'm simply going to click Alt and drag and drop it into place. That's exactly where I want it, so I'll click Alt, duplicate the image, and simply drag it into place. And there we have it. Okay, now I'm looking at some light sources that I want to include in this image. So what I'm going to do is, I really like the prism light effect. So I'm going to go to Unsplash and click Prism Light Effect and see what imagery comes up. So this is very beautiful. It's a very smooth type of light source. This one has a bit of graininess to it, and I do like that. So I'm going to save this image. I'm going to download it, put it in my folder. But I also want to explore what something like this would do to my image. So I'm going to download this as well, save it, and let's start exploring. Okay, so new folder, light, prism light, let's call it that. Okay, file, place embed, and let's start with the more abstract lighting. Okay, so make sure that it's in there, rasterize your layer. You can create a duplicate if you want, just for safety. And I want to see what kind of effects this kind of gives me. And if I could potentially play around with it a little bit more. I do like this effect. Okay, so I'm simply going to cut off the edges by clicking M on my keyboard. Delete. 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 And delete. So now I click Command D and V to get back to my cursor. And I'm just going to play around with this and see what it looks like if I enlarge it in different places. Maybe even put it in the middle and see what it looks like over there. Okay, so for this specific one, I want to make sure that it is behind the arch, just to see what it does and what it brings across. Okay, so for this one, I want to erase that harsh line over there. So I'm going to click E on my keyboard. And if you want to customize your eraser, you can say soft round, because this gives it a soft edge instead of giving it a hard edge. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure my opacity is low so that I have more control, because if the opacity is at full, it erases it very harshly, as you can see. Okay, so to delete that, I'm just going to click Command Z and V to select my cursor, and then again E back to my eraser. I'm going to put my eraser at about 61, and to be more precise, I'm going to zoom in. To decrease the size of this, you can go over here, or you can simply click the bracket next to the P on your keyboard. Okay. So I've deleted the harsh line, and you can even go in and soften this a little bit. And you can soften this too. And if you want to dim the opacity on your brush even more, you can do that. It gives you more control. Okay, so I'm going to hit Command- on my keyboard to zoom out. And I'm gonna go back to, okay, I'm gonna go back up to my Prism Light folder, and now I want to explore the other light source that we got. So I'm gonna say File, place Embed, and paste this light source to see kind of what effect we can get from that. So I'm gonna rasterize the layer, and I'm just gonna explore, you know, what kind of effects I get from this image specifically. This does something very nice to it, but it eliminates all the other color in there. So I want something that will illuminate it without taking away from the entire design. So I think I'm gonna go with screen. And then again, to get rid of the black or the extra space surrounding that light source, I'm gonna hit E again for my eraser. I'm gonna enlarge my eraser, and I'm gonna increase the opacity a little bit to 50 and simply erase that excess image that we have. Okay, and you can get it to a point to where you are happy with it. And you can even go ahead and delete some. Make sure you don't delete it too closely, otherwise you're going to be left with a harsh line again. So you would have to go back in if there's a harsh line and just erase whatever you want to be more smooth in your image. Okay, so I'm going to drag this down a bit, see what it does. Okay, so I really like the light source over there, so I'm going to click this while holding Shift on my keyboard and simply drag it down. And I'm going to place it right over there. Okay, now I'm thinking maybe we should add some crystals to this. So let's see what we can find. Crystals. Looking for something we can also put in the middle of the image. Something like this could be interesting. Let's see what we can do with this. So I'm going to download the image, go back to Photoshop, and save File, place Embed. I'm going to place my crystal, make sure that it's checked over here, and put it in the right folder. I'm going to right click, rasterize the layer again, and now I'm going to go back to my pen tool and simply select how I want to cut out this crystal. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be precise, it just has to be the way you want it to. Okay, so whenever you change anything in Photoshop, it's going to stay on that setting if you use it again. So just keep that in mind, okay? But I'm going to set this back to 0.8, and I'm going to hit delete, and I'm going to hit Command D. Okay, so that deleted the excess space and image that we wanted to cut out initially. So I want to kind of place this in the middle, and I think I need a little bit of a perspective tilt because I want to make it as though it's tilted and it's almost like a pathway in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, hold Shift, Option and Command, and drag the edges inward. And I'm going to do the same over here to see what kind of effects it gives me. And I think I'm going to stick with something like this. So again, you can play around with the effects and see what kind of imagery or effect, you know, appeals to you. I think maybe we could go for something. I keep on coming back to the vivid one, so maybe we should just go for it, okay? And now I'm going to click Command J because that duplicates it, and I'm going to just create a small composition over here and see what that looks like. Okay, and if you want to add some stars, I know stars are very popular amongst this ethereal design, so I'm going to go ahead and search stars in Google for some more variations to see what could pop. So let's just try this off a whim. Okay, just so that we get an idea of what, there we go. Okay, so that's more about the look and feel that I want in my imagery. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna size it, and you can get rid of the areas that feel a bit more intense by simply bringing back your eraser by clicking E on your keyboard and having a go at it. So if there are some high points that you want to delete, you simply can do that. Okay, and now I'm just gonna hit Command J and drag it to the rest of my image. And then again here actually we don't need it at the end there. And there we go. So now if we want to add some wording to the bottom, we can simply create a new file and say font. Okay, and the bottom section can be any way you want it to be. You can do a gradient, you can do a solid line, you can do something with a texture to it. It's completely up to you. So for the example of this video, I'm just going to go with a regular rectangle, drag it across. And again, you can adjust this color if you are not happy with it or if it's not exactly what you want. So I'm gonna hold shift and drag it to the bottom, and then just make sure that it has enough space over there. Okay, so if you want to make sure that it's aligned to the bottom, again, make sure that you have your rectangle selected and then click on this one over here with the line at the bottom, because that secures it in place. So let's say, for example, it's over here and we click this one over here. It aligns it exactly to the edge of your design. Okay, so now for the text, I want to make sure that I have something that's visible. And I'm going to make sure I'm in the right layer. Click, drag, and then you will get your text, your dummy text over there. Okay, so you can play around with some fonts that you have installed. Or you can simply download a new font by going to Defont. And if you are looking for something that has calligraphy, you can click calligraphy and it will give you all the different types of calligraphy. If you are looking for something with a serif is this little edge at the end of the characters. That is what you would click. I do like this Chimera one, so I'm going to download this and add it into my fonts folder. And so to download the font and install it onto your PC, you simply open up the font and click install. There we go. And now you go back to your design and click the font. To select all, you can just say Command A, and that selects everything. Okay, so for this one, let's just call it Gateway. And now I want to select my new font, so Chimera, and you can enlarge this however you want to. And clicks OK, and then you can hit your cursor button and position it, center it in the middle again. And if you want to change the spacing between the letters, what you can do is you can click on Gateway, the font, you can open up Character. This opens up a customized panel on, how you can change your font, the character specifically. So this one enlarges it, and this one is what I'm looking for. This increases the space between the characters. So I'm just going to play around with this. I do like it at 170, so I'm going to keep it at that, but the color, I think we should change it to white. But to make it pop a little bit more, I think I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to click Bevel and Contour. And I'm just going to hit the zoom button to see what it looks like up close. So I want a hard chisel, and I want the chisel to kind of be visible. And to give this even more visibility, I think I'm going to add a drop shadow. We're going to decrease the size of it. And the distance, I want it closer to the font. So I'm just going to play around with it until it's at a point that I like. And then I'm going to say OK. And there we have it, our very first Oracle card achieved through this dreamy effect. And that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I simplified it to the best of my ability. If not, you can let me know in the comments. And also let me know in the comments what you want to explore with me next. I would love to create these videos with you guys and give you guys more of an intro on how to create your own Oracle cards if it's something that you want to explore. And I'll also be creating new videos on where to source them and how to simplify this process for you even more. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.